Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mark Archambault, Vice President of Development and CEO of the UVU Foundation. We're all thrilled to have you here this evening. Thank you to music student Jared Iglesias for his performance during the reception. Before we begin our meal, I would like to invite the Reverend Peter J. Van Hook to offer a blessing. He joins us from St. Mary's Episcopal Church in Provo. We're very thankful to the Reverend and St. Mary's for their collaborative relationship with the UVU School of the Arts. The UVU Chamber Choir will performs at St. Mary's frequently. Reverend?
Thank you, sir. I noted that this evening's theme was What's Your Story? And I was telling Mark that part of my story this evening is that tonight at St. Mary's, the Utah Valley University Opera is performing Suor Angelica. If you think you're missing something, they're performing it again tomorrow night and next weekend. And it's only $10. Mark, thank you. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, gracious Creator of all that is, Redeemer of all that is broken, grant us your grace this evening to celebrate all of the gifts that have been given to this school, to us as individuals, the gifts of our talents that we can share. We give you thanks for the fellowship of this evening. We give you thanks for the food, for the hands that prepared it. We give you thanks for the heavenly music that we are allowed to hear. And in all things, we continue to give you thanks, for you are gracious and lover of souls, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Now it's my pleasure to tell you about tonight's MC. We'll soon be welcomed by our MC for this evening, James Clark. James Clark is chair of the UVU Foundation Board and by virtue of that post, a member of the UVU Board of Trustees. He currently serves as managing partner of Clark Capital Partners. Additionally, James is very active in the community, serving on several advisory boards and councils for nonprofit and community organizations, and is actively engaging in the support and patronage of the fine arts in Utah. James, can I welcome you to the podium now?
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. It's very good to be with you tonight. Let first things be first. Please start eating your salads and enjoying this wonderful meal that we have tonight. As we get started, we're again grateful for your participation this evening and grateful for you. On behalf of the UVU Foundation, let this be the official welcome and thank you on behalf of the Hollands also tonight as we demonstrate our appreciation at tonight's 2015 Appreciation Banquet. It's a privilege to serve as chair of the UVU Foundation and be with you this evening. We have a wonderful evening in store and a keynote speaker of whom I'm a huge fan, by the way. I might be asking for autographs later. This is Todd Hansen from the TV show The Story Trek, which confirms that everyone has a story to tell. That is what this evening is about. Those stories, our students' stories, your stories. You are all here tonight because you, in fact, are part of UVU's story. It is, in fact, you that make the difference in the lives of the students you touch through your generosity. So now please take a moment to look at the center of your table. You'll find it interesting to note that every table features 5 of our UVU scholarship students. There are 25 different students featured throughout the room, and we wanted to share a small part of their stories with you tonight so you could see the faces of those that help you through your support of scholarships and programs. Now, throughout the evening, please pass around those stories to the others at your table and even share your own story. As you enjoy the first course, you will be delighted with a performance by the Utah Valley University Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Chung Chow. Chung, who has served as conductor of orchestras, ballets, and operas around the world, is just one example of the world-class faculty that we have on this campus, leading our extremely talented students in their studies. Again, as my reminder, tonight is about you, our donors, for your unselfish gifts of time, talent, and treasures to Utah Valley University. Your support is helping to set this university apart as a trailblazer in areas as we approach UVU's 75th anniversary in 2016. We have much to celebrate. Of special note, indicators show, this is pretty interesting, I think, that an increasing number of applicants from home and abroad have chosen UVU as their first choice university. Each time, oh yeah, I think that deserves a round of applause. applause. Now, each time you set foot on this campus, it's not hard to see why. I hope you all had a chance to see the newly completed classroom building near the library. This near 250,000 square foot facility will deliver much needed physical learning space for our students and faculty. To name a few of its special features, it has 34 classrooms ranging in size from 35 to 175 seats, and a 1,000-seat auditorium that can be divided into 3 sections. The building will also house group study facilities and faculty spaces. So if you haven't had a chance yet, I encourage you to visit and tour this building. Anytime you'd like to take a tour of that building or of the campus, just please call the UVU Foundation. One of our talented student ambassadors can escort you personally. It won't be long before we have another building on campus. This is an enormous event, a new performing and visual arts center. You can clap about this one. This is very exciting. We're already making great strides in this historic campaign, and you may have also read in the news that we announced a record $15.4 million has been raised from many generous donors so far. This is the largest, please clap on. This donation of $15.4 million is the largest amount of private funding raised for a new facility in this university's history. We're immensely grateful for the anchor gift of this arts campaign that was contributed by the Ray and Ty Norda Foundation. The Norda family is one of UVU's first arts benefactors, and the existing Norda Theater is a result of a generous gift from the foundation. John Norda, here tonight, the representative of the foundation, is with us, and we would like to recognize him and his family for their continuous support of UVU and the arts in this community. Please stand, John, if you would, for a moment, and could we give him a round of applause? And the Norda family, thank you very, very much. We are also so proud to add to that campaign that it is continuing now even to pick up speed. Since that $15.4 million was announced just recently, in fact, last month, we've added another $1 million to bring our total to now $16.4 million. UVU has been officially authorized by the legislature to begin planning the building using our own donated funds. We are moving forward, and UVU is well positioned for next year as hoped. These funds will make a major impact on this campus. Currently, UVU art students are educated in repurposed space within a trades building that smells sometimes of motor oil, in hallways and even secondhand spaces adjacent to UVU's body shop, and within the technology building. The new facility will provide public spaces for dance, music, and theater performances and art exhibits, in addition to essential learning spaces. In conjunction with the new building, UVU is repurposing and renovating space for a dance complex featuring 6 large teaching studios. It is you, our donors, that will soon make this incredible facility a reality. And it is certainly dynamic and exciting time for UVU. There are many more UVU highlights that I could share, of course, going on and on. But we must continue through the program, and part of the Foundation's annual stewardship report, which shares more of these UVU highlights, will be available as you exit this evening. I encourage you to read through the various stories about our students and the programs that you've made possible with your generosity. Within these booklets are recorded the names of literally hundreds of generous contributors to UVU this year. We have some astounding successes to be proud of, and we've increased, just as by mention of one, we've increased $10,000 gifts by 270% in the first 8 months of the fiscal year. This is compared to the entire 12 months of last fiscal year. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in celebrating this vision, caring spirit, and exceptional generosity of all who have contributed to the mission of UVU student success. I would now like to pay tribute to some of the individuals who have recently been recognized at a new level within the President's Circle during the 2014 calendar year. The President's Circle honors those who have generously given lifetime cumulative donations exceeding $25,000 in cash or in-kind donations. Membership is recognized in one of it's 5 President's Circle levels: Emerald, Platinum, Gold, Silver, and Bronze. We're proud to announce that in the 2014 year, actually, 14 new members joined the President's Circle. And just as exciting, 10 of our longstanding donors contributed generous gifts this past year that enabled us to honor them with membership in a new and higher level within the President's Circle. For the 2014 calendar year, we welcome the following new members to the bronze level with contributions of $49,999. And if you'll hold your applause till we finish each of these membership groups, I'd appreciate that. Starting with Blendtec, Merrill and Marie Gapmeyer, John N. and Karen B. Gardner, Dr. Aline Harrison, the John C. Kish Foundation, New Skin Force for Good Foundation, Rocky Mountain Power and Rocky Mountain Power Foundation, the Workers' Compensation Fund, and we welcome the new members to the silver level between $50,000 and $249,000. After this one, we will give them a round of applause, please. Bryant and Marianne Folger, Going Beyond Borders, Todd R. and Andy D. Peterson, Brian S. and Angela B. Wood. We thank you, these following members. We also thank the following members who are moving from the bronze to silver level, including Alexander's Print Advantage, my personal favorite, Blue Donkey Foundation, Omar and Nancy Cater with Paltech, Inc., Key Bank of Utah, Keith Mulberry, and Jay Brent and Catherine P. Wood. Thank you very much. We welcome the following members to the President's Circle Gold level for their contributions of $250,000 to just under $1 million, including and starting with our dear friends Keith and Melissa Nellison. And that's it. That's great. Thank you. We also thank the following members who are moving from our silver to gold level, starting on the corporate level with Vivint, C. Scott and Dorothy E. Watkins Charitable Foundation, and Zions Bank. Thank you. The UVU Foundation warmly welcomes the following new members to the President's Circle Platinum level in recognition of their contributions of over $1 million. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We also thank the following member who is moving from gold to the platinum level, which is the Huntsman Foundation. Thank you, Huntsmans. Now, the UVU Foundation gratefully acknowledges the support of all of our new and longstanding donors at all levels. Let's please join in one more round of applause for all of those who are contributors, whether new or ongoing. Thank you very, very much. Now it's my pleasure to turn the time back to Vice President Mark Archambault. He's going to recognize and pay tribute to a few very, very special people. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, James. Sadly, this past year, we lost 5 wonderful members of our community. This evening, we would like to honor their memories and the incredible ways that they influenced this university. I'd like to begin with Lorna Golding Jukes. Lorna Golding Jukes and her husband, J. Paul Jukes, valued education highly and made it a top priority of their charitable giving. Several years ago, they made a large gift of property to Utah Valley University, recognizing the importance of the university to the region and the benefit it would be to their own descendants. No fewer than 10 of Lorna's grandchildren have attended UVU since then. Lorna was known as a generous soul who enjoyed life and made those around her feel loved. Ralph Emil Crozier. In honor of his late wife, Ralph Crozier established the Maxine Winterton Crozier Endowed Scholarship for Utah Valley University, students studying at the Wasatch campus. To date, 9 students have been assisted by the scholarship. Upon Ralph's passing, a gift from his estate augmented the fund, ensuring that it would continue to open the doors of education to UVU students year after year. L. Tai Nurda. In 2009, Tai Nurda made an endowed gift to Utah Valley University to establish the Nurda Youth Theater Center for Children and Youth. A gifted musician, writer, director, poet, and songwriter, she attributed much of her success to her formative experiences at the University of Utah competing in speech contests and performing in plays. She conceived of the Nurda Theater to offer youngsters opportunities to learn about themselves, to work with others, to develop speech and performance skills, and to learn to effectively represent themselves and others in a public forum. The Nurda Theater contains a state-of-the-art black box theater and was one of the first in the nation to integrate video technology, making it possible to archive shows and workshops and share them with other professionals around the world. The gift was a tribute to Nurda's late husband, Raymond John Nurda, former CEO of Novell. The couple also established the Ray and Tai Nurda Foundation endowed scholarship in 2003 for the Woodbury School of Business students with a preference for students with disabilities, and the family continues to support the university. UVU presented Tai with an honorary doctorate at its 2012 commencement ceremonies. Nyla Perry Sidaway. Nyla Perry Sidaway and her husband Bill were beloved by many at Utah Valley University. Among many gifts to the university, they established the Sidaway Family Endowed Scholarship to support Woodbury School of Business students, with a preference for those pursuing certification from the Center for the Advancement of Leadership. The scholarship has been awarded to 19 students over the past 13 years and will continue to support students into the future. The Sidaways also made the naming gift for a valued study room in the library. Paul Sibrowski. Paul Sibrowski and his wife Lynn made a naming gift for a room in the Utah Valley University Library, as well as many smaller gifts to the university. Paul served on the Board of Trustees from 1993 to 2001 and served as chair from 1997 to 1999. He also served on President Kerry Romsberg's National Leadership Council. He was awarded Utah's Outstanding Entrepreneur of the Year Award and the Utah Small Businessman of the Year Award. In the last 2 years of his life, he was president of Southern Virginia University. These 5 incredible individuals will be greatly missed. They all made an enormous impact on this university, and their contributions will continue to affect our students for generations to come. Thank you again to our donors and members of the President's Circle for your continuous support. We are honored to count you all among the UVU family. On a lighter note, thank you. Thank you. On a lighter note, as we continue through the program, I'm pleased to introduce our keynote speaker, Todd Hansen. Todd Hansen is the host, producer, and creator of the award-winning TV show, The Story Trek, which airs on BYU TV. Todd has won Emmy Awards for his work in TV news and for The Story Trek. He was born in Provo and grew up in Pleasant Grove, Utah. He served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and then attended and graduated from BYU in Broadcast Communications Studies. Todd started his broadcast career as an anchor and reporter for a CBS affiliate in the Tri-Cities area in Washington before reporting for Fox News in Salt Lake for 10 years. He soon realized that he was much more interested in human interest stories. When he heard BYU TV was looking for a new series, he suggested this idea, The Story Trek. The series consists of random door-to-door interviews of everyday people, revealing stories that would otherwise not be told. Hansen believes that everyone has a story and that it's his job to find them. Each episode features between 3 to 5 of these stories from a geographic area chosen at random. Todd uses every story from the people he encounters in the show. He does not decide later which are worthy of being on TV, because he will tell you he feels everyone's story is of worth and everyone is worth getting to know. We're thrilled to have him here tonight to share some of those stories as well as his own. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Todd Hansen.
I feel short. Nobody told me I had to share my story. You'll hear a little bit today. And nobody told me there was availability of a teleprompter. It's been since the news days, which I've been able to use one of those. So those were a bunch of fancy words about me, and I suppose some of them are probably true about a lot of neat things that I've been able to do over the years. We all know in this world of social media and internet craziness and photoshopped faces that you can really make up anything about yourself and then kind of support it, at least on the internet. And none of it may be real. We can portray a great story. Now, I'm all about story, and I'm all about being real. Reality TV. You are having a reality TV show host speak to you tonight. That is playing with fire. Reality TV. I think way back when people were a little bit enamored with reality TV, they thought it was somewhat fascinating, at least initially. And I think people quickly started to realize that there wasn't a whole lot real about reality TV. My analysis of reality TV is pretty simple. I think you have a couple of formulas. You find out some people whose lives are in complete shambles, and people who are so bizarre and are such a mess that I guess it's interesting to look. It's kind of like the train wreck. You can't look away, but you kind of look. The Kardashians. Why we look? I've actually never seen an episode, but obviously people watch or it wouldn't stick around. Another formula, you create an artificial scenario. You audition some people, you get some real characters to be real on the show, and you poke them, you prod them, you manipulate them, and you make them highly emotional, angry, violent, and another option is you do it under the guise of love. So you could have one guy who dates a dozen women on this show, or vice versa. What about that is real or normal? Does that happen a lot in real life? But people seem to enjoy it, they watch it, so that's why those shows stick around. Well, I wanted an alternative. And I suppose the reason I'm here tonight is because of the television show that I host, and perhaps you are familiar with it.
Welcome to Engage. I'm your host, Todd Hanson. Thank you for joining me as we tell the story of engaged learning at Utah Valley University. On this program, we showcase examples of students who are learning by doing. Today, we're spending some time with UVU's dental hygiene program, where the graduation success rate is 100%. Coming up on Engage.
Okay, how many people knew that I hosted a show called Engage for UVU? You may not have known that. If you're not familiar with Engage, you can find the episodes on YouTube. They're also on the UVU channel. And I understand that my ugly mug is also broadcast around campus as people walk around. That's been reported to me several times. I was very flattered when I got a phone call from a friend of mine who I used to work with at Fox 13, who happens to be working behind that camera right there that I think I'm looking into right now. Hi, Aaron. To come down and do several episodes of this amazing show called Engage. It's really an incredible television show that talks about the incredible work that is done down here at UVU by the students and the faculty. The type of learning that is being experienced down here is exceptional, and the concept of engaged learning makes so much sense. And I believe that students who leave UVU are amazingly prepared to enter the workforce. So that was a bit of a head fake, obviously. I'll get back to that later. A TV show that perhaps I'm more well known for is called The Story Trek, and I'd say it was a long shot for a kid from Pleasant Grove who had only one ill-advised career aspiration in his life to end up conceiving, pitching, producing, writing, hosting, and even editing the first season of a TV show that is now going into its 8th and 9th seasons. Its 5th year, has won 7 Emmy Awards. The Story Trek is now carried in 55 million homes across the country on satellite and cable. We're approaching 100 episodes and will soon have visited all 50 states. It's pretty incredible. Thank you. And it kind of bucks the trend of all those other reality shows that I talked about earlier. None of it would be possible if people were not watching. The harsh reality of this absolutely ridiculous business that I chose to do for a living is that if you don't bring in the ratings, then one day you're driving down I-15 and you see the billboard of the television show that is replacing you, and that's how you find out that you've lost your job. It's just the way that it goes, and you need to have a thick skin in this silly business. What's so wonderful about the Story Trek is that I've been able to do it without selling my soul for one of these other formulaic TV shows. I've been able to keep, thank you, I appreciate that. You can clap for that. I've been able to keep the real in reality. There are a few reality shows out there that I can stand to watch, and they are basically the ones that they mount a camera or they just have a camera that follows the people around, like Deadliest Catch, Gold Rush. Some of you may be familiar with some of those shows. There are other ones out there, but even those shows, they still seek out people, they audition people, they cast people who are the most interesting characters to follow around. I like to call the Story Trek the most real reality show on TV, the ultimate reality show. For those of you who have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about when I say the Story Trek, and I never assume that everybody knows who Todd Hansen is of the Story Trek because I'm a TV guy, what I want you to do is take a look at the open for our show. It's brief, and it gives a bit of an explanation as to what the show is all about.
We want to hear your story. My name is Todd Hansen, and I'm on a mission, traveling the country searching for a story, your story. I'm a master storyteller who believes everyone has something important to say. You see, I believe it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, you matter. So I travel the country randomly and surprise everyday Americans with a simple question: what's your story? What I find is powerful, it's fun, it's inspiring, it's incredibly human. It's all real. And it's the ultimate reality show. It's the Story Trek.
So that's just a brief open for the show. And let me tell you how much I love UVU. My editor is also the guy who's rolling these tapes for you tonight. He works here at UVU as well. So we pull a state from a hat. I get a map of whatever state is pulled. I put it down on the floor. I close my eyes. I drop a marker. We go to wherever that dot hits. And it's usually an exotic, exciting destination vacation location like Refugio, Texas, or Minong, Wisconsin, or Unionville, Nevada, or something really exciting like that. It's invariably in the middle of nowhere where we go to, and I love that. I love going to these small little towns, and then we go to that little town, and we get somebody in that little town to get a map of that little town and do the exact same thing with that little town. We have them close their eyes, make a dot on that map, go to wherever that takes us, and I start knocking on doors. And the first person who agrees to be on TV, I tell their story. So we set up shop in their living room, on their porch, talk to them at their car window. If they don't have much time, we tell their compelling story, and then we duplicate that in a few surrounding towns to get 3 or 4 stories in the show, and the results are spectacular, if I do say so myself. I'm a TV show host with a great show, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Now, this wasn't always the case with me. We need to back up a bunch of years, and this is where you get to hear a bit of my story. I was a shy, dorky kid from Pleasant Grove, Utah, The only thing that really ever mattered to me was football. And I was going to play for the greatest professional football team ever to grace the gridiron. Of course, you all know who that is, the Dallas Cowboys. Don't be afraid to admit it. I'm not, after so many years of horrible, horrible play by the Cowboys. I was a good player in my day. I was fast. I had good hands. Defenders had a very hard time tackling me. I had great balance. I also played defense in addition to running the ball, not like these guys today who can only play on one side of the ball. The problem is, my day didn't last very long at all. The chances of getting into the NFL are pretty much impossible. I think worse than even getting your own TV show. Made much worse when you stop growing in 9th grade, like I did. So I'm the same height as I was in 9th grade. In 9th grade, they thought, wow, this guy is going to be something. Made worse when you have 3 knee surgeries in high school. After a devastating injury, playing a game down against Payson High School, where I had my final knee surgery after that, and they repaired some ligaments and put a screw in my knee. I was told by my doctor that my football career was over. Now, I was going into my senior year, and I couldn't accept not playing football my senior year. And there was one thing my doctor didn't know that I knew, because I was 17 years old, and I knew more than him because I was 17 years old. So I went out for the first practice of summer football, and something miraculous happened. I blew my knee out. My career really did end that day on the Payson High School football field. And I say it was miraculous because God had a better plan for me. I just didn't know it at the time. Sure, I was devastated at the time. That was my entire life. Remember, I was a shy kid. I had no problem talking to my classmates, but adults scared me to death because adults, we all know, are creepy. Fortunately, my friends literally dragged me down the hall of my high school, Pleasant Grove High School, into the drama room to be in the high school play my senior year. And fortunately, I made the decision to serve as a missionary for my church, where a shy kid had to go and knock on doors of strangers. Well, knocking on doors of strangers is something I've turned into a career now. So it's been a tremendous blessing in my life to meet now hundreds of people who have let me into their homes and into their lives, and now they have shared their stories with the world. My reality show is perhaps the simplest of all reality shows on the planet. In fact, when I pitched the idea to BYU, the simplicity of it was something that they couldn't quite wrap their heads around because they were used to these big, complex ideas. And me, I'm this, kind of simple guy from Pleasant Grove, blue collar. And I said, yeah, well, here's the show. We just go anywhere. It doesn't matter where, and we just interview anybody. It doesn't matter who. And they'll have a great story, I promise. And I tried to be a little more cool than that, but that was kind of the pitch. And I'm a guy who's never pitched a TV show to anybody in my life, but I was trying to act like I had. And their first question was, well, Todd, what's your drop rate? I said, well, the drop rate, if you carry the 9 and the drop rate, what's a drop rate? And they said, well, how many stories will you have to do before you find one that's good enough that you would put on the air? And I was absolutely appalled because, I put every single story on the show. And I told them that. I will put every single story on the show. And they just said, no, that can't work. There's no way that can work. And I said, how can I do a show that claims everybody has a story? And then if I pick and choose, I turn into every other reality show out there that's fake. Then I'm a liar. I'm a phony. I'm a fake. I turn into the reality show mess that's out there. So every single story, I'm confident enough in my interviewing and my storytelling, we're going to have great stories. So now, we're 5 years later, and we've got great stories. They just took my word for it, and here we are. So, I want to share with you a small sample of some of those amazing people that I've met over the years.
Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Surprise.
How are you?
You're on camera.
Yeah.
We want to hear your story. Yeah, not quite candid camera, but it is kind of candid.
You know, I mean, I think eventually I'll walk with a cane and end up, you know, in a wheelchair. Apparently it will, you know, kill me one day. But that could be a really long time from now.
I get to live my life with the person that I love and appreciate everything I have every single day. So that's a gift that I think I get because of the diagnosis. So it's bad, but at the same time, I'm lucky because I'm not going to wake up at 70 years old and say, I wish I would have done X, Y, Z. So we do it now, and that's how we live our lives.
I get to come to work every day, and I get paid to do something that I can honestly tell you I love with every ounce in my body.
I've watched people die before, but that really bothered me. You see, that was part of me that died. And when they tell me that I made a difference, that's good enough.
Oh, the back ones hold on good, okay? I'm 71, I'll be 72 in March.
You don't look 71 years old.
Thank you, I appreciate that. There's not enough time on this earth for me. Every morning when I get up, I think about what I want to do and what to do.
No matter what it's going to be, it will be. But if you just hang in there and hang on and keep trying, something good will come of it. Somehow, some way, just the one foot in front of the other.
She just keeps saying that she wants her mom and dad to know that she loves me.
And then my aorta ripped, so you bleed out within 10 seconds.
And they said that she's on their top 10 list of why are you alive?
You just never know. You wake up one day and your life has changed. We all have pivotal points in our lives, but then we have to learn to live with them.
You want to be strong for them, but there's nothing like a mother who has held a child in her arms that she can no longer hold.
My family always has my back. Always has my back. And I love them for that.
You gonna ride him for us?
That's your job.
Yeah. You want me to get on that bull?
Yeah. You can sit on it. He'll help Travis.
Be terrifying. Be careful what you ask for. You might get it. Oh man. Oh.
I got a lot of potential. I can do a lot. I've seen myself do a lot. I was just in the wrong avenue.
We want to bring home multiple medals at the Olympics, not just one.
We don't care what they do with the money. It's just to help them.
You know, God gives you an adventure every day, and it's up to you to make the most of it.
I have various people asking me questions about life after death. So it is a whole different world, and it's a happy place.
I forfeited, we were talking the other night of how many millions of dollars I left on the table by leaving. And it absolutely not a single regret.
I'm getting too old. I just was hoping I could stay there long enough to retire, but that didn't happen, so now just out looking again.
As long as I don't mess with the man above, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what other people on this world think or say about me.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I live my life.
I wanted to change my life, and I'm the only one that can change it. Nobody can do it for me.
If you don't go for your dream now, then when are you going to go for your dream, okay? You can get there.
He, like, dry my tears, even though he don't know what happened, you know? And, yeah, he changed my life.
You can't tell me anybody, thank you. clap for them. I mean, those people, they're brave, you know. They let me in with cameras and microphones, and they open up, and it's amazing. You can't tell me that everybody doesn't have a story. It's amazing. So what does all this mean for us here tonight? You know, you are being honored and congratulated for your contributions tonight, and that's why you're here. And I believe that I have a story for just about any group that I might ever be asked to speak in front of. And I feel like I should show you a story that I did years ago in the very first season of the Story Trek. I interviewed a man that I will never forget. It was in New Meadows, Idaho, and his name was Archie Breedlove. Now, there is a famous commercial about the most interesting man in the world. That was Archie Breedlove. I went exactly where I was pointed by the city manager. We had him point at the map, and it happened to be a group of motorhomes, so I knocked for the first time ever on motorhome doors.
How are you doing?
Hi.
My name's Todd. We're with a television show.
Which one?
It's called The Story Trek. You've probably never heard of it.
Probably not. You ought to let me put my hat on. I have the greatest TV hat you've ever seen.
Really?
Hang on.
Okay.
I gotta find it. If I could find it, I was wearing it. Oh, here it is. 90 years old.
Nice.
Now, isn't that a great hat?
That is a great hat. What's your name?
Archie Breedlove.
Archie, I'm Todd.
How are you, Todd?
I'm great. 90-year-old Archie and his hat are fixtures in this community. Everybody knows him.
No, it's a nice place. This is a great place to live.
Have you lived here all your life?
30 years.
Not
That's
bad.
not all my life, but it's a long time.
Yeah, where were you before?
Over in Seattle and Portland.
So, Catherine, what can you tell me about this guy?
Archie is hard to explain. Archie is a wonderful person that does absolutely everything for anybody he can. He buys presents all the time. Whenever he goes down to Boise, he's always getting stuff for anybody and everybody, and it's just, Archie's just a cool guy.
And we really had no idea how cool.
He comes in, he goes to Chevron in the mornings and starts coffee there, and then he'll come to the cafe, and he did dishes for us for the longest time. He'd just come in and do dishes and hang out.
Starting the coffee and washing the dishes, just a couple of part-time jobs. He also had another job around town.
18-hole golf course.
Yeah.
Very good golf course. I worked there for 6 years for nothing. Because they didn't hire me back because the pro out there said I was too old. This is true.
Really?
So I could have taken it to court.
But what would he sue for? His $0 salary? Which is the same amount that he made washing dishes and putting on the coffee.
He helps everybody with, he doesn't want anything in return. He just does it, and that's what he does. It's just Archie. That's who he is.
Why not? I live in this kind of a world. I don't live in a world of why do you do that? I live in a different world. See, I come up different. I come up with parents that really help people.
When Archie says his parents, he means his adoptive parents.
My real mom and dad died when I was 5 years old in Falls City, Oregon. Influenza epidemic. Same time, same night.
Wow.
And I became sort of a wayward young guy ricocheting around with the state of Oregon's politics, where to put this crazy kid. And finally, my oldest sister found me and took her home. They lived in Ellensburg, Washington, and they raised me.
And then when World War II started, Archie enlisted. Because he had photography experience, he got an incredible assignment.
I was a newsreel photographer for the Office of War Information.
For World War II?
For World War II in Europe.
Really?
Yeah, pretty good thing. You could never believe the pass I had in World War II. Here's this kid. Doesn't even know reality because he's been on a ranch all his life. And the pass says, the bearer of this pass, Archie R. Breedlove, shall not be interfered with in the performance of his duty by the military, police, or any other military organization. All courtesies and help should be extended. Dwight Davis Eisenhower.
Wow.
Pretty good.
You went anywhere you wanted.
Anytime I wanted, anyway, yeah.
He made it out of Europe, but that was not Archie's last war.
And when I went to helicopter school, I graduated top of the class. So that's a pretty good thing to have hanging on you, because you want to do it a little better than everybody else. Probably I flew more missions over there than the other two guys in the MASH hospital put together.
It was Korea in 1950, and Archie was flying wounded soldiers to mobile hospitals.
It was the first attempt at evacuation of the wounded in a hurry. It was like 12 minutes to get the guy in. Miracles happened in the MASH hospitals. So it's just, I'm just proud of the fact that I had that opportunity.
After Korea, Archie came home and ran a very successful ad agency. He was even a model for a time. Books are written and movies are made about less interesting people. Although Archie's life has been amazing, it hasn't been without tragedy.
Well, especially when my wife died, and then my youngest daughter died, and then my oldest daughter found I have cancer.
But true to form, Archie doesn't let anything get him down.
Life should be a marvelous experience.
These days, life is a humble experience for Archie. He lives in this small motorhome, but that is by choice.
I've never needed a ton of money. Being able to do without is a great attribute someone can have.
Archie made plenty of money in the past, and recently he turned down some money that was willed to him from somebody he met during World War II.
The airborne jumped into Holland in '43. This kid helped me, and he was carrying my stuff around.
Wow.
And he died, but he remembered me in his will.
Really?
Yeah. I wrote back and told her, I said, I don't want any of the money out of the will, just take it. I would like to put it in the trust fund and send some worthy kid through college.
How much did he leave to you?
The whole will was a little over $5 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you turn that money down?
Well, number one, it wasn't mine. But number two, I think it'd be better off. I'd rather put a kid through college than I would buy myself a car. You see the car I drive?
Archie's proud of his little car and proud of his amazing life.
I don't think I would really want to change anything in my life. Not my stature, not anything. Because I've been very, very lucky.
And he says he's been lucky to live in this amazing little town.
Not only is this a good place for me to live, this is a good place for me to die. That doesn't bother me. Everybody got to do it sometime.
How many years have you got left?
Oh, I probably, a good 5, I guess.
What do you want to do before you go?
I want to live the same life I've lived before.
Archie was the most interesting man in the world. He made it 3 more years, and he passed away just a couple of years ago. So you are affording the same sort of legacy that Archie did to the students that he supported. And he put not only his own kids through college, but other kids through college. And I'm not saying you have to go and live in a motorhome and drive a Geo Metro. But when you support students around here at UVU, and if you've been around this valley very long, you've seen what President Holland and his predecessors have done. You know, college was not something that really happened in my family. When I went to BYU, I was terrified. I thought there was no way that this shy, dorky, and probably not very smart kid from Pleasant Grove was going to make it, because that was just for the smart kids. And I was the first one in my family to graduate from college. But my dad did have some schooling that I've always been very grateful for and proud of. My dad worked very hard his entire life. Until they closed the plant, he had 35 years at Geneva. He was a skilled mechanic, and it provided a great living for us. What helped was him graduating from a very small little vocational school of about 1,000 students, and you may have heard of it. It was called, very simply back in the day, the Trade Tech. The real name was the Utah Trade Technical Institute, and it would one day become, after I have no idea how many different name changes, Utah Valley University. What an amazing story it is to tell of the beginning of UVU back in 1941 as the Central Utah Vocational School. You see, it's not just people that have great stories. Organizations do as well, but they're driven by those great visionary people. Educational leaders, faculty, administration, staff. A college is a city within a city, and I imagine President Holland considers it a miracle every day when things come together and they just work. Some days they probably work better than other days. But that's what makes life interesting. When things don't always go according to plan, if things always went according to plan, I wouldn't have much of a television show. Where's the fun in that? So yes, I do have a television show and I'm very proud of it. It's called UVU Engage. You saw a little clip of it earlier. You should be too, because you are giving these students an opportunity to create their stories of a one-of-a-kind learning experience right here at Utah Valley University. And yes, there is this other show that I do that I hope you will watch if you haven't, not because I need the ego gratification, but because of the good that I believe it accomplishes in the world, and that's what I'm out to do with my television show, and maybe that's different than other TV people do with their TV shows. What I hope and what I believe the Story Trek does for those who watch it is that I hope people who watch it understand that before they judge anyone for the way they look or act or what they wear or say or what color they are or just whatever, maybe they should get to know them first. Just know that everyone you meet, everyone you interact with, everyone you even catch a glimpse of every single day is worth getting to know. There's something special in that person. They have a compelling story, even though it may not look like it on the outside sometimes. More importantly than that, please know that the person that you see in the mirror every day has something special about them. You have a compelling story. You are worth getting to know, even if you don't feel like it sometimes on the outside. And if you don't believe me, please answer your door and let me prove you wrong. Thank you so much for letting me spend some time with you tonight.
We would like to thank everyone here for their support of the UVU Foundation, and I, as board chair, am honored to work side by side with so many of you here today, and so many that serve as part of the UVU Foundation board. These board members are passionate, they're dedicated to success and the progress of this university. There are two retiring board members that I need to acknowledge tonight. I need to recognize and honor them for the years of service that they've given. First, Paul Clyde. Paul Clyde has given 9 years of dedicated service to advancing Utah Valley University and specifically the UVU Foundation. He served as a member of the UVU Board of Trustees as chair of the Foundation Board from 2007 until 2009. And he lent his time and considerable expertise as a member of the board and the Foundation Audit Committee, where he helped promote an organization that practiced good accounting principles, as evidenced by the many clean external audits, allowing the foundation to more effectively carry out its important duties on behalf of UVU and its students. The board extends its utmost appreciation for the support from Paul. Now, unfortunately, Paul can't be with us tonight, but please join me in showing appreciation for all of his many years of service. Now, Deborah Bingham, she makes my job very hard. She is my predecessor. She has given me such big shoes to fill and has done such a wonderful job in the 8 years of passionate service. She has served advancing Utah Valley University, and specifically, of course, within the UVU Foundation. She served as a member of the UVU board as the trustee chair of the foundation board for 4 of those 8 years. Her outstanding leadership resulted in the elevation of the foundation by adding a foundation audit committee, restructuring the investment committee, and adding investment professionals and adding a giving component to the foundation board membership. That was huge. Debbie leaves behind a lasting legacy that included a lead gift to initiate the campaign for the new science building. Debbie, please rise so that you can be recognized with a gift and a board resolution. The board wishes to extend our sincere best wishes for every happiness in the future for Debbie. Thank you so very much for all that you've done. In the spirit of honoring great service to this university, I'm excited to announce a new award this year that will be presented on behalf of the Utah Valley University Foundation. It's called the Mount Timpanogos Award. This award is the UVU Foundation's most prestigious award, honoring an alumnus or friend of the university who has given consistently distinguished service and made profound contributions to UVU and its community. It is through this award that the foundation celebrates those that exemplify and strengthen the mission of UVU and the vital role the university plays in this community. It is an honor to recognize the inaugural recipient of this award, who is a strong voice and champion for UVU throughout the community and throughout the state. But I'm also deeply saddened that she is not here with us tonight. Rebecca D. Lockhart is this year's Mount Timpanogos Award recipient. Let me tell you about Becky and all that she's done for our university. First elected to Provo House District 64 in 1998, Becky was a tireless champion for UVU from the beginning and was instrumental in helping UVU gain university status in 2008. As the first female Speaker of the House of Representatives in Utah, she led the efforts in the legislature's appropriation of $54 million for UVU's new classroom building. Now, during the 2014 legislative session, in addition to that, she championed the Acute Equity Initiative that resulted in $21 million directed to UVU, correcting a significant funding imbalance that had developed. Her leadership was especially an inspiration to women in Utah. She was actively involved in UVU's Utah Women of Leadership Project and even co-chaired the Women in the Economy Commission with Representative Jennifer Seelig, Utah's House Minority Leader. Please direct your attention to the screen for a moving tribute to an incredible leader created by Ryan Hinman Films.
She's still our speaker. We're in the event. It has been our plan to have her start our session and begin this next general session. And we don't have that. But I'll tell you, and I've heard it said, and Stan has said this publicly, she doesn't have a lot of time for a lot of moping and a lot of feeling sorry, maybe for her or for our circumstances that we find ourselves in. She tells us to get to work. She tells us to get going. And that's what I want to honor her and her family and her memory and make sure that that's what we do here. So thank you for being with us this morning. We want to thank those that will speak today as we mourn, but more particularly as we celebrate Becky Lockhart, our Speaker of the House.
Merciful Lord, turn toward us and listen to our prayers this morning. We humbly ask you to open the gates of paradise to your servant Becky and to help and console her family, loved ones, and friends who mourn her loss. May we be instruments of that comfort and offer each other assurances of faith until we all meet in Christ and are with you and with our sister forever in the eternal banquet where every tear has been wiped away. and where the love of Christ will conquer all things, destroying even death itself.
Being the Speaker of the House is, I think, overwhelming in terms of the number of people who want your time and want to talk with you and expect you to know about their issue. But she never let the responsibility of the position get in the way of human contact and caring.
Thank you so much for being here with us today and honoring my role model, my beautiful mother, Becky Lockhart.
She loved her children with everything she had, helping with homework, giving a hug, going out to eat, or going on vacation. She was a great mother. When at church, worshiping her Father in heaven, it was important for her to learn to become a better person, and she did that very well. As a mother and wife, Becky was second to none in her commitment to her family and understood that perhaps her greatest accomplishment was not in the accolades of public life, but in the quiet confines of her home.
I believe Stan and Becky are equally yoked together. They've been anxiously engaged in good causes and brought to pass much good in our state. They truly understand the scripture that when you're in the service of your fellow being, you're only in the service of your God. Utah is a better place because Becky Lockhart served here and contributed so much to all of us.
And so now in Becky's memory, her family has established the Rebecca D. Lockhart Endowed Scholarship here at UVU for the benefit of the students studying within the Center of Constitutional Studies here at this university. The family invited the community to show their love and respect to Becky by making a contribution to this new scholarship in lieu of sending flowers. It's no surprise that the support was so strong and the outpour so tremendous that they raised over $120,000 for this scholarship. We invite now, thank you. To accept the award, the first annual Mount Timpanogos Award from the UVU Foundation. To accept this award is Becky's sister, Laura Millington. Now, Becky will always be remembered for the impact that she has had on this campus and the community, and she will be greatly missed and is greatly missed. And it's been my honor to serve now this evening, and we invite Laura to come up to us. Thank you. I don't know how I hug you and you hold that, but we're supposed to. Thank you so much. Please rise and thank Laura and the Millingtons and Becky Lockhart. Thank you. Thank you. Truly is a pleasure to be a part of this university, to be a part of what's taking place within the UVU Foundation, and to be engaged with you this evening. It's been my honor to serve as your host, and I hope to see you at many future UVU events. We couldn't end this great night without a few remarks from our president. It makes me very happy to introduce him. It is my great honor to invite President Matthew Holland to this stage for the closing remarks for this evening. President Holland.
Thank you, James. Thank you to the Foundation for all of their efforts to organize this truly emotion-filled night of appreciation. And I'm deeply moved by the tribute to Becky Lockhart. You know, we are acknowledging her contribution to a scholarship tonight, but of course, her direct UVU contribution went far, far beyond that. As you know, we had our greatest legislative success last year with an equity adjustment for this institution to the tune of $21 million of ongoing funding. That's $21 million each and every year that come into this institution. So even as we celebrate great record-setting accomplishments on fundraising for an arts building, that's one-time money. That $21 million every year will fund salaries for faculty, for counselors, for folks who will be right there on the front lines with our students, changing lives, opening up new horizons of opportunity. And I say all that because it was Speaker Lockhart's leadership that in the 11th hour was absolutely key. I'm convinced we were going to get, that we would have gotten equity money and equity adjustment that year, but it was really her leadership in those crucial final budget negotiations that pushed that number as high as it became. And that will forever be a legacy for her and a contribution to this institution that is already transforming the way we're able to operate, the way we're able to affect students' lives. That's only one of several things. The other thing that has to be noted was her role in helping to secure the classroom building. Our classroom building is one of the largest educational buildings in the state. And here again, we had support in other quarters. There were other people involved. I don't mean to say that this was Becky's handiwork alone. We are very blessed by a tremendous delegation who worked together on the equity issue and on the building. But again, she was in a unique leadership position to really help make a difference at a key moment. And it's tender for me to even think about that, because when we went to cut the ribbon on the classroom building, we really worked very hard to do it in a way that allowed Becky to be there. And so that meant cutting the ribbon while she was speaker. We wanted it to be there while she was speaker, and that meant trying to do it in December of this year, because she was going to rotate out in January with a new legislative session. Well, the problem was we weren't quite done with the building, and that's generally not a good way in time to do a ribbon cutting when the building's not quite done. But it was that important to us that we rearranged our schedule, that we made the effort to set that up for December 18th, working carefully with her and her calendar to make that possible. It was the morning of December 18th, the groundbreaking ceremony, that we got a call from Stan Lockhart saying, "I'm very sorry, but we can't come to the ribbon cutting today." I was frankly just shocked and floored. I had no idea. I just thought, well, what on earth could keep her from this moment that we had all worked so hard for? He didn't say much that day except to say, "She's sick, and she's on her way to a specialist." That was the first news we had had that Becky was sick, and 30 days later, we were at a funeral. I am just so grateful for donors and supporters and civic leaders, and I'm so grateful for someone like Becky Lockhart, who rose up through the ranks out of this valley and who championed UVU as well and as powerfully as any supporter we've had. And so this award is eminently well-deserved for her to be the first recipient of it. And so once again, I thank her, I thank the Stan Lockhart family, Becky's sister, others who are here tonight. Please extend our love to your family and our appreciation for you and for Becky and for her continuing legacy. Please join me and get one more round of applause for Becky Lockhart. Well, thank you, Todd, for your wonderful remarks, for the theme of stories. I'm told now I'm supposed to tell a story. That's always a dangerous thing. I'm currently writing a book. It's called Jeff and Pat Holland, Stories You Won't Read in the Ensign. They're young enough and I'm young enough, and the will can be adjusted. I'm not going to read any passages from that talk tonight. I do have permission to tell the story of my first kiss. It wasn't with Paige. She has given me permission to share that story, actually encouragement. I think in part so I won't tell my first kiss with Paige, which has its own component to it. I was 17 years old. I can see from here Mark Bingham looking at, what a loser, Matt. Mark was 12 when he started to make out, I think. So, 17 years old, and I met this woman where all true love blooms in St. George on spring break. And I just was sort of immediately smitten. And then I came back to Provo, and then that summer she moved up to Provo. I think she may have been a counselor for Barbara Barrington Jones. That's the honest truth. She was a counselor in one of these camps, and very impressive lady. And she came up, and we started to date. And I had this really, I was smitten. And so about after our fourth or fifth date, she called me. She'd never done that before. And she said, "I understand your little brother's in a track meet." And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, my little brother's in the same track meet. Why don't we go up together?" And I was so excited. But of course, on the phone, you've got to be cool. I just, yeah, let me get back to you about that. I hung up the phone, called back 30 seconds later, "Sure, let's go." So we went up to the track meet, and as we got into the track meet, she slipped her hand around my arm. It's a very good sign, I thought. And I knew today was going to be the big day, the first kiss. And I immediately started to panic. Because for some reason, I guess I'd seen too many movies, I thought you had to give a speech before this happened. See, it started young for me, this. So I just was sort of thinking about what on earth I was going to say, and we're heading back from the track meet. We're driving. I'm driving very slow. I think I was going about 35 miles on I-15 because I didn't want to actually get to the doorstep because I knew what was coming, and I was so panicked. And so I'm trying to craft this speech in my head, and all I can think of is this little, I'd really like to smack you on the lips. I didn't say that. I just thought it in my head. At least had the presence of mind not to express any of this. Still thinking, keep driving. By the time we hit the point of the mountain, I have another burst of inspiration just as we passed the prison. I don't know if there's any connection to that. I think, no, you've got to say something a little more novel than that. You've got to be a little more suave. And so I came up with another phrase. I'd really like to kiss your face. This honestly came into my mind. Fortunately, I didn't say anything. I still drove on. We got to, I think, Heritage Halls, where she was staying, and we pulled up and her roommates came out. And so I thought, okay, the pressure's off. We're there with all the friends, and we're there chatting. Then after a few minutes, the friends say, almost in unison, well, we'll leave you two alone now. This was another very good sign, you know. The ladies had been talking. So they went off, and so now we're there, and it's that awkward doorstep conversation. Oh, those are nice plants. That's a nice doorbell. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, it's supposed to be more natural than this. Just don't worry about it, do it another time. And then I thought, no, Matt, you got to be a man. You have to do this. And so I just sort of summoned up all my courage, and I thought, what of my two stupid phrases am I going to use? And finally I just said, I've got to go for it. And I looked at her and I said, I'd really like to smack you in the face. That's an honest, truthful story. I leaned down, I gave her a crashing half-cheek, half-mouth kiss, and then I just took off. I just left her there. I got into my broken down Ford Mustang, shut the door, and let out this primordial scream, sort of feeling every human emotion at once: anger, embarrassment, ecstasy. It was all right there, the whole human condition in that vehicle. So. Todd, would you like to interview me sometime? We get that on film? So, and you thought you were a dorky teenager, so I think I take that award tonight. So, well, listen, a little more seriously, I want to say something about stories. Stories have become sort of my lifeblood in this job, and you know, sometimes, as Todd said, you know, this is like overseeing a smaller, sometimes not so small city, and there are lots of times when things don't go like you want them to go. And I have to tell you that on those difficult days, the best antidote for me is to go out, not far from this hallway here, down that International Hall of Flags, and just kind of start into the flow of traffic with all those students and start to chat to a student and ask them about their life, about where they're from, why they're here, what they're doing. And invariably, I'm inspired. I'm reminded why I do what I do. I'm reminded that the problems are worth it, because there are 31,000 students out there like the one I'm talking to, and each one of them has a story. One of them's here tonight, actually. I had that experience tonight. Is Thomas here? He's going to be embarrassed. There's Thomas. Would you all look at Thomas? He didn't know I was going to do that, but he's popping right up like an old pro here. So, Thomas is a student, but he's not one of our student ambassadors. He's not one of our student employees here tonight. He's here tonight as a donor. Thomas, a student, a current student at Utah Valley University, has sponsored 2 scholarships at Utah Valley University. What a story. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. So, I'm inspired by the stories of our students, and I'm inspired by your stories. I could go around this table, literally every table in this room, and I can tell a story about something that's happened as a result of your generosity, of your time, of your treasure, of your emotion, your gift to us and to our students. And so I pay tribute to you. This is our appreciation banquet. And from the Norda family to Thomas and his 2 scholarships and everywhere else in between, you are changing lives in dramatic and powerful ways. You are creating stories of temporal salvation, stories that are lifting students out of just these terrible sometimes situations of dependency and loss, but who are finding a way forward. Or stories of monumental success of students who are poised and have the ability, but just need the wherewithal of an education to take them to that next level, and to create the spaces and the places and the means to make that happen. You are creating the stories of success, the stories of transformation, and I couldn't be more grateful. On behalf of Utah Valley University, our faculty, our staff, and our students, I say once again to all of you, thank you very, very much.